favorite programs of the year. I get to talk about the Rotary Foundation, okay? But first, before we start, my cohort that's been helping me with the Rotary Foundation is Carrie Grunder. For some new people, Carrie, come on, wave your hand, stand up. Hey. Carrie is actually our club foundation chair. I have no official duty within the club, but so Carrie is really your go-to person for stuff on the foundation as to some of the specifics, and we'll get into that at the very end of the program of where and why you'll need and want to see Carrie. Okay, let's see.
Rob, do you want to advance the slides yourself? Aaron, would it be easier for you?
No, if I can just, let's see, now I don't see the program.
Right, I shut it off. Okay.
Okay, yeah, can you give me the next slide? Next slide, okay, next. Yeah, okay. Tara, you can see Tara and I work together a lot, okay? Okay. Well rehearsed, okay, but yeah, this group here, many of you have heard the program probably year after year, but every year I do try to tweak it. So please try to stay awake because there are some different tweaks from past years in this. But the first one, and I say it 3 times, and most of you will forget this, is what is the Rotary Foundation? We talk about the Rotary, which is our charitable arm of all Rotarians of Rotary International. Rotary loves 3-letter acronyms, so we call it TRF. Don't confuse it with the Madison South Rotary Foundation. When we talk about the grants the Madison South Foundation does in April, and we bring up programs on that, or our Broadstand money that goes through the club to the Madison South Rotary Foundation. Don't confuse them, okay? Like many clubs, we do have, there is our own club foundation, i.e. MSRF, but then there is the Rotary Foundation, okay? I'm just talking about the Rotary Foundation, okay? Next slide, please. So what does the Rotary Foundation do? Next, thanks. It supports club-driven local and international projects by this other creature called the District Designated Fund, and I'll show you a little slide on that. These are primarily smaller one-year project grants that we give out. They're usually up to $5,000 grants. The district has given a lot of money and has monies available every year for this. And normally what makes this a little different than many other grants, it required some Rotary stewardship and or involvement in it. So not just writing a check for something. Like one of our projects I've been involved with, let's say 3 Gates, which is a horseback riding that Bob Mucci and I have been involved with. But I remember a club wanting to do something like sponsoring that kind of horse. Actually, it was only half a horse, okay? We didn't know if it was the front end or the back end, okay? But no, that was just a check writing. There was no Rotary involvement. Thus, the district could not approve that kind of grant, okay? One of the things to think about, though, I'm on the district grant committee, okay, that we look at these district grants. So one of the things we just have looked at is actually a club has gotten a request and has been approved for a scholarship fund similar to our MATC type of scholarship, because they are doing training of those recipients. They're working with them on job searches, working with them on tutoring. So these students that are involved are not just getting the check for their scholarship, but they have a number of Rotary involvement there. So Randy Sproul, I don't think is on, but other people involved in that program, come see me and I'll share that grant request with you, because that's something possibly we could get some money out of the district for our scholarships. Just like I'm always working with our Madison, okay, not to confuse it, but our grants that come through the Madison Rotary Foundation, are there some grants that we personally could do something with and thus could go to the district and get a district grant? Because we have those monies there. In the past, most of our projects, unfortunately or fortunately, have been more internationally based, okay? Because a district grant does not have to just be local. It can be also international. So we've done some local ones with the pool and lifeguards, or the library Mother Read program right over here. But then recently we've done a lot with Guatemala and I'll show you some pictures of that. And then in years past, we did that crazy grant with my son in Togo. Okay, next slide. Okay, but then the other part of the Rotary Foundation from a grant writing aspect is what's called the World Fund. Okay, and our district 6250 writes a lot of global grants. Okay, and you can see it's lots of monies across many dollars across all aspects of Rotary. We even, the World Fund actually, when COVID came out, even had some emergency grants for quick monies for COVID. We didn't have anything in our hopper that could really work for COVID. But again, it being part of the district, we gave away quite a bit of money for quick COVID needs, like food pantries or items like that. So the World Fund, don't think of it, it's not Evanston making the decisions, it's Rotarians coming to them. So when COVID hit, somewhere through, especially America, they hit Evanston and said, hey, can we use some World Fund money for quick grants for COVID? And yes, Rotary, even though it's a big monster, okay, turned pretty quick on the dime and allocated a bunch of money. So that was like almost 2 years ago now, when COVID first hit. How can we help people, entities like food pantries, especially for COVID, okay? But also with the World Fund funds, the World Fund funds, are projects like educational scholars. I believe we had a program with one of our educational scholars not too long ago, and a Peace Scholar that Lynn Kenny was involved with. So those are examples of where World Fund monies go. Next slide, please. Okay. Then the third aspect I always think about for Rotary, and again, we're fortunate we have Randy Sproul so involved in this, is polio. And again, we're down to the last 2 countries there. We're so close on eradicating polio. And Randy and I even talked about it with the Taliban kind of take over Afghanistan. It's like, it's actually maybe helping in that they want to show the world stage that they can run a country. And Rotary, what I'm hearing is Rotary's getting into some of these remote areas that they weren't getting into before. So we are getting closer and closer in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And that would be a major thing. And I think the goal is within the next couple years, I know we keep saying it, but in the next couple of years, we will be polio free and monies can go in our polio campaign. Next. So example, here are 6 pictures of what we've done on district grants, okay? The upper left is a picture Lynn sent me of Guatemala on a water project that we have funded. The upper middle picture is we've also funded for a district grant. Do you remember the children of the dump on a school? And those are Rotary school desks there. The upper right is my baby, David, in Africa, in Togo, and part of the soccer ball project on the lower left. And the bottom 2 on the middle and right, you've heard the story from me, but we have some new members here, is polio, and it's something that hit me personally of what Rotary, how Rotary and the Rotary Foundation makes a difference in the world. Mary and I were fortunate about, now it's 6-7 years ago, we went to India. And a little side trip of our group was anybody wants to go to one of Mother Teresa's orphanages. And I volunteered and said, yeah, I'll go. It's about 5-6 of us in our group went there. And I'm wearing my Rotary pin, okay, when I travel, especially. And I happened to be at this orphanage, and these little, you can imagine, Mother Teresa nurses with their habit come running up to me, and they see the Rotary pin. And my group is looking at this, and they start hugging and kissing me, okay? Mary wasn't with me yet, okay? Here, okay? And I go, what? And they're going, why? And they point to these 2 children here. And they say, because of you and Rotary, those will probably be our last 2 children that will be afflicted with polio. Okay. And that's the meaning of what we have given to the polio campaign. And these people really saw that. Okay. So the example is when we give to polio, yes, it is making a difference. And these women, we don't see it here, but there in India, yes, this was major. Those would be probably the last kids in that orphanage. So yeah, it was quite moving for me. And I think I signed up 4 more Rotarians in Brooklyn from that tour on that there, because they go, wow, I didn't realize Rotary does this stuff. Okay. So next slide. So how do we do this? Okay. How? Next. Okay, so there's three basic funds through the Rotary Foundation. The annual fund that is used for these district and global grants I talked about. We have our Polio Plus campaign that the donations go directly to eradicating polio. And then we have an endowment fund, like most endowments. It sits there and you have the earnings for it. Next. So what often is an example of the money, I'm a CPA by training, so I love the numbers, but I won't bore you with all the detail. But think about if you give a $2,000 donation to the annual fund, next, so this will click you down there. It's invested for 3 years. It's kind of a neat thing. It's like a, if anybody works with the Madison Community Foundation, it's more of a current fund versus an endowment because the monies are being used. Next. So what happens to your 2,000, half goes to this district designated fund. The other half goes to this world fund. Next. And then out of this district designated fund, we use monies 500, up to half of it goes to district grants, up to half go to global grants. So the monies that we put in come back to, much of it comes back to us first on a district grant level, and then also as a global grant level. So a lot of these little district grant projects have been funded by our donations we gave years ago. So it's 3 years in, and then we get to spend it. Next. And then it goes through, you can see polio, keep going. So as an example, what happens is we get matches out of these funds. So 80 cents on the dollar of your DDF. So when we do a global grant that Lynn also has been very, very involved with on these global grants, monies come back from the World Fund. I won't bore you with all the monies, okay? What's interesting though is Rotary has figured out on these global grants, where often they tie in some international need to these clubs throughout the United States, these things have just skyrocketed, okay? People have figured out, hey, it's our money's coming in, let's use it. So these global grants have more than doubled now in the past 6 years. So it takes up a lot of administration. Anybody that writes a global grant knows the paperwork involved is yay thick, because one of the things about Rotary, we just don't give monies away. There's a very big emphasis on stewardship of the money. So you really have to go through a lot of hoops. First, is there truly a need in that international area? It isn't that we're deciding. You really have to start with the local community, let's say in Guatemala, showing here's what we want, okay? Versus us coming to Guatemala saying, well, here's what you need, okay? So Rotary really has a big emphasis on that, but then not just do the project, but what is the follow-up? What is the stewardship of it? So not just build a well and walk away. Are we really going to have water and sanitation? Who's going to fund the continual upkeep? If you put in a latrine, who's going to be changing the soap, the toilet paper? How's that funded? So the paperwork on these global grants are very extensive, but I've been involved looking at them and have been part of different global grants. Yes, for the most part, I would say 9 out of 10, the follow-up, it's still there 5-10 years later, okay? So that's why it's an important fund. The district grant, which is sort of my little baby here, okay, because that's part of the committee I'm part of here, is we match dollar for dollar out of this DDF for our district grant. So again, an example would be if you're involved in some project and it's a $2,000 project, well, it can become a $4,000 project because the district will match dollar for dollar up to $5,000 basically. If you have another a club or two involved, we'll match up to $14,500. And for the most part, I'll be honest, we have not in my last 5-6 years on the district grant committee have received enough grant requests to spend all our money. Okay. And the money's there. And I guarantee at Pets, okay, right then at Pets, they emphasized it and emphasize it and emphasize it. But clubs just forget the monies are there, especially if it's a project with Rotary involvement. Okay. It's like giving money. So we're constantly begging people. Carrie.
Is there like a cap, how much a club, how many district grants a club could?
Usually, if we haven't given away all the monies, then we often will go to 2 to even 3. Yeah, if we have enough requests that come in, because our requests come in, usually the requirements by the end of May, and we have our committee meeting around mid-June. So if we have enough requests, then we'll limit to one per club. And if a club submits 2 or 3, we'll say which one want to be first. But to be honest, in the last 6, 7 years, we haven't had enough requests. So many clubs have gotten 2 or 3. Okay,
So, Rob,
Yeah.
is it $5,000 per club?
per club.
Okay, so it's not 3 projects, 5,000.
It could be.
Oh, it could be, okay.
It could be. It's per project. Okay, it's per project. And let's say if Madison South tied in with breakfast or whatever, it can be up to 14.5. I mean, it's an interesting game we play. Even if the other club doesn't get that much money in, we can get some bigger and bigger projects here. And it's just frustrating from our committee that we don't see that many requests. It's almost like, you know, we have the opposite normally on the, not to confuse you, but we almost have the opposite on the Madison Road, you know, Madison South Madison Rotary Foundation, where often we'll get requests for double the monies we have to give away. I'm almost the opposite. It's been like half of the monies there, okay? And then polio, and we always talk about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's been a wonderful booster of that, and they'll match you $2 for every dollar. So every dollar we give to polio, the Gates are still matching 2 to 1. Next. Okay. One of the things I like about the Rotary Foundation, again, all of us sort of financial people here, we all have many charities we give to, and we're always trying to look at what charities can we get to that we feel good assurance. Well, there's a thing called Charity Navigator, and Rotary is very proud. It's been a 4-star since I can remember Charity Navigator existing because of the monies we use, our low overhead there on it. It's like usually it's under 10% is overhead. And so 90% at least, if not more, is going to the actual projects. And one of the funny things, way back when Mary and I retired, we were looking at, okay, where can we put our efforts into a charity? So one of the things, our kids were in Seattle, so we got a hold of the Gates Foundation and say, hey, can we volunteer at the Gates Foundation? They said, no, we only have employees. But they said, here's a couple organizations we really like. And they listed 3, and the first one they listed was Rotary. Okay. So, and if you know how detailed the Gates Foundation is on charities and who they get involved with, the legwork they do was like, oh, if the Gates Foundation thinks Rotary is pretty good, then that's a pretty good endorsement for our foundation. So you can be comfortable. Yes, Evanston is there, but no, it's Rotarians that decide where the projects are. Evanston is just the conduit of running monies around. It is not a top-down that Evanston is deciding what we're doing. It is us as Rotarians, and we are part of Rotary International, okay? So it's Rotarians around the world deciding our projects. Next. So what can you do? I feel like, you know, serve your country. Next, okay. So you give to the Rotary Foundation. So I told you all the wonderful things the foundation does. Well, to make an impact, you have to give, okay? I think many of us do it through Rotary Direct, where it can either come out monthly out of our checking savings or credit card or quarterly or whatever that way. Some people do it through a quarterly billing process through our treasurer and Jane. You can do a check just right to Rotary Foundation. In years past, we've done something, and Carrie and I talked about it again. There's a system called points, where we can give you points to get you up to the next Paul Harris Fellow level, okay? We tried something last year of trying to figure out if everybody is giving monies through quarterlies or whatever. It was too confusing for us. So here's the game we're gonna play this year, folks, okay? If you somehow carry a check made out to the Rotary Foundation, you can just make it out to TRF. Okay. And note on it though, do you want it to go to the annual fund? And the annual fund monies will go to our grants, like district and global grants, or do you want the money to go to polio? Because those are the 2 major funds we're dealing with here. Okay. So put on in the note on the check, annual fund or polio. Okay, you with me? A check. Okay. Not Venmo, not credit card, a check. Okay, some of the younger people here may not even know what a checkbook is. So Max, figure it out, okay? Give them cash, okay? Okay. Yeah, okay, you know, most of us still have a checkbook, but I know my kids, what's a checkbook, Dad, okay? The minimum is $100 of matching points, okay? So on the next slide, so that's the minimum that will match points, and I'll explain the points. I probably should have had this slide before this, okay? Here's what I'm talking about on points. Again, most of you heard, but we have some new Rotarians out here. We have what's called the Paul Harris Fellow, named after our founder, Paul Harris, where once you have either a donation or in your name $1,000 towards you in the Rotary Foundation, you become a Paul Harris Fellow, the first 1,000. It's really neat. Our club have many, many, many Paul Harris Fellows and many, many people that are Paul Harris Plus. As my slide says, you know, the next 1,000, you're a Paul Harris Plus 1, 2, 3, up to $10,000. Then after that, you quote, become a major donor, okay? And we have a number of major donors here, and those are different levels. And you get different pins for them, okay? Be happy to know, like, your pins may have something that looks like rubies or diamonds. They're all fake. Okay, we're not spending money on real stuff, okay? So if you lose your pin, don't worry. We can always get you another one, okay? It's a nice way to show how you represent and how you support the Rotary Foundation. And I guess why I give this program, I've been doing it, I don't know, people have known me 30, 40 years, it seems like, I don't know, that you build up these funds over time. Okay, so if you want to become Paul Harris plus 5 or whatever and give 6,000, it's not like you're giving 6,000 1 year. Okay, it can be over your 10 to 15, 20 years. So Mary and I started giving to the Rotary Foundation when I joined 40 years ago. Okay, and it's amazing how I'm looking at Sean Financial and Carrie Financial people. It builds up over time. Okay, you just keep giving every year and every year. So I'm very proud with Mary's assistance here that we actually, now is it, I think a year ago, actually reached the Art Pump Society level. We're up to 250,000. So that's what this fancy fake diamond pin is here that says AKS, okay? So I think Mary and I are one of possibly 2 in the district that are now hit the 250. But it's not, I mean, over 40 years, yeah, you can do the math. It wasn't like we had to come up with a lot of money. My kids still got fed and went to school, okay? It didn't help my golf game though. I didn't get into a country club, okay? So those are your different levels there, okay? So don't just stop at 1. So we're willing to get you pieces to get you up to the next level between now and May 31st, because the Rotary year ends in June. So what we want to do is make sure the contributions get into your account and we can do the match. The person that lets you know where you stand, Mr. Grunder, okay? He has the infamous chart. You can go online and see where you are, but most people can't figure that out, okay? So no problem. Carrie's willing to quickly look you up and let you know where you stand. So let's say you're at $4,200, okay, in the Rotary Foundation, and you want to get to the next level of 5,000, okay? So you're 800 short. What we're saying is give Carrie a check for $400, and then we'll fill out a form and allocate some points to get you up to the 5,000, okay? And that will get you a new pin that we'll get to you early next Rotary.
Tara had a question up there.
Go ahead, Tara.
Give $10, she can probably ask that better.
Tara?
Well, if it's under 100, you don't get.
You won't get the points. I can't allocate any points less than $100. That's it.
And that's a Rotary. Can you do
Sorry,
100?
you answered my question. I was wondering, is it only for $100 that you'll match? But
Oh,
if
no,
we're-
no, 110, whatever you're short,
100.
Okay,
100 and up, that's it.
Got it.
100,
Okay.
thank you.
No, doesn't have to be multiples of 100.
No, sorry, it was a minimum of 100.
got it. Okay,
We're
thanks.
clarified. That's all, because we can't, okay, but it can be 100, you know, you can do $203 if you want to, and if you're, whatever the math works out to be, okay? But it has to be the check. Next slide, okay? Click, click, click. We're almost done here. Come on, get involved. There we go. So how do we also get involved? Let's write a district grant. I know our district for next district year has 92,000 to give away. And I'm hoping when I have my meeting with my other district foundation cohorts, we actually have requests for over 92,000, okay? Well, actually, I know Lynn has a district grant she'll be submitting for 2,000 for special equipment for our school, special needs school. So Lynn has already written a district grant and will be submitting it. So knock on wood, that will get approved by our committee there. But to the question of Keith or others, yeah, we can do more. Because as I said, in the past, we haven't given away the whole 92,000. So also think about collaborating with other clubs, okay? Also, my other thought on getting involved, getting Rotarian involvement in it is possibly using our student, I'm blanking out, what's our student group that we often work with at Oregon?
Oh, the Interact Club?
The Interact Club. So it wouldn't even have to be our club maybe physically doing something. Maybe we coordinate with the Interact Club and have them work on a project with us, okay? And they can be the grunts, okay? And put that in our district grant proposal. And I bet you that will give us the Rotary involvement because we love to, I'm just speaking for the district, would love to see Interact clubs get involved. So we get the best of all worlds there, okay?
Hey, Rob, if you don't, if that 92 isn't allocated, let's say you allocate 52,000, you got 40,000 left. Does that go back to the pool? Does that stay?
Here's first we have our first meeting and we try to give away as much as we can now. Same thing happened this year. So we actually went back to the presidents. We've been giving away money, any project that can still finish this year. So we're actually I've been writing checks still. But what happens to the rest? Let's say out of the 92, we give away 62, there's 30,000 left.
Right.
It stays in the district, but only for global grant now.
Oh, whoa.
Okay, so we often within the district then use it for scholarships. Okay, that used to be just the ambassadorial scholar. Now it's just called scholarships.
Right.
Or we look for other global grants that we can match within the district. So we don't lose it out of the district, but I lose it out of my district grant fund. So I much rather spend the 92,000 this year, okay? And have me, I'm the treasurer, so I have the fun part. I get to write the checks, okay? Have me write the checks. So that's what I mean on district committee. Lynn's been very involved in the Peace Scholar program and others, and what used to be the ambassador. Randy's been involved in polio, and I've been involved with the district grant committee. I think that's it. Anything after that? One more, let's see. I think that's it. Bingo. Other questions? Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Are there any projects that we give money to for the Madison South Rotary Foundation?
I'm-
that could be deferred?
That's where I've often gone back to whoever's been our chairman. So I've talked to Joe about this, saying, look at those requests and think about, is there something there? Now, again, the timing has to be such, we can't start the projects until we get the monies, which the monies usually aren't sent till August. But if he sees a request now, that a project can be done next fall and have our involvement, I've bugged him about, hey, let's talk about writing a district grant for that. And the timing is good because if we get those requests in April, we still have time before the end of May to write the district. And the district grant form is very simple compared to a global. Yeah, I've asked and I've tried to, and we just haven't been able to find the right project there for it, but it's there for us, folks. So those that are on the Madison South Rotary Foundation committee, when you look at your requests that are in your folder, think about, wow, is there something we can do? And I'm not talking about we're building the whole deck for handicap fishing area, okay? But like Oregon, if those of us in Oregon, we have the Oregon Rotary Trail, bike trail, okay, out there. And I went to the Oregon Club saying, oh, you're going to do signage, you're doing some work on it, write a district grant, and they were just too lazy to do it. And it was like, guys, that was like giving money for you. You could, double the project or whatever. So yes, Dean. Jenny.
Applicants that are applying for the Madison South grant, they're not disqualified if they get a grant from Madison South. They're not disqualified from a district.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm
They can
hoping.
get on top of.
On top. I mean, it's totally different creature. That's why I'm hoping that of all the grants that we get through the Madison South Foundation, there's got to be one that we approve that takes some involvement of us in it for us to then go to the district.
And are the grant applications online? on
Yep.
the district website?
District, go to the district website on the foundation and everything's in there. And we qualify because we have a memorandum of understanding. We have a number of members that go to a district grant seminar every year. We have to qualify also, you have to have $100 per capita donation to the foundation. Our club makes that easily. So we're always qualifying. And don't tell the whole committee, but I can't vote on ours, but I hope I have some influence, okay? On who I get to write a check to, okay?
How many people are on the district? Right?
It was interesting. This is fun of Rotary as I see us evolve. At first, it used to just be a committee of like the past district governor and the current district governor.
Oh, wow.
And when I was giving it substantial monies to the district, I'm going, hey, shouldn't we have some regular Rotarians? So I was like the first non-officer. Now we're up to about 10 members on the district grant committee from all parts of the district and all ages. So the input's pretty good and similar to Madison South. It's a lot easier to review grants when there's 10 of you, when there's only 3 of you trying to look at it. The person that's in charge of the committee, Liz Evans, the people that take on that duty, that's a tough duty because most Rotarian clubs don't do the proper paperwork. And she's constantly having to go back to get the proper paperwork, even for a district grant. Or what we get caught with is until the project is done, we can't get grants for the whole following year. So if we have any project that is still open come June 30th this year from this last Rotary year, we can't submit our request to get our monies for the next year. So we're always bugging clubs, you got to finish your project. So that's why it's important. They're 1-year projects. So they got to be done basically. You start them kind of August, but they got to be done by May. And a lot of our, to Jenny's point, a lot of the things that we're looking at doing through the Madison South Rotary Fund are very short projects. It's not like we're doing a 3-year project and something.
And then the completion stuff report,
You got to send that report to Liz. She has to sign off on it. Rotary has to sign off on it before then we send in all the grants for next year and they have to approve. We have to still make sure they meet our 7 areas of focus. Even though they're just a district grant, Rotary approves it. That usually comes in July. And that's where I get the check from Rotary, usually early August in my checkbook for me to start writing the checks. It's sort of how the process works. But we got to first, I see Lee.
You touched on it really briefly, but for the new members, every Rotarian every year.
Oh, yeah, I really didn't even touch on, yeah, we have names for everything you can do. The Paul Harris Fellow, we have every Rotarian every year, EREY. Hey, that's 4 letters, okay? Where you try to be giving $100 every year, which again, $25 a quarter. And I know I always touch on this. I'm like all of you. I have many charities I give to, okay? Whether it's my synagogue, whether it's Mary's More for Stage 4, whether it's the Dane County Humane Society. We all have our charities. So I'm not asking you to make Rotary Foundation your only charity, okay? But I'm asking you to really seriously think about it to be one of your charities. When you go figuring out where am I writing checks to, at least at a minimum every Rotarian every year. I mean, a lot of clubs will take a new member and actually charge them $100 their first year just to get them started without them even saying yay or nay type of thing. We have not done that. We ask you to be part of every Rotarian every year and maybe even set up at the $25 a quarter on your billing or somehow do it that you're doing $100. Kathy.
So when if I want to give an annual donation every year, do I give it to the Madison South Rotary Foundation and does that qualify for Paul Harris Fellow?
Nothing, no.
You're really wanting this to go to the.
Well, I mean, it's like we do, we do both. Especially we work the brat stand, so we raise monies for the Madison South Rotary Foundation. Sometimes we even ask within the Madison South Rotary Foundation, give us money so we can pour ice cream on people, okay? But the real big check writing one that we try to do is the Rotary Foundation. And again, you can choose whether you want an annual programs fund and or polio. I give to both. One of the nice things, our club has kind of a commitment to polio, where often our tip jar goes to the Polio Plus campaign. So think about our club through our physical efforts is giving to polio. But so the emphasis can be on annual pro, but hey, I just want you to give and whatever touches your heart or both, okay? So that's why the check to Carrie right now even can be, you just have to know which one.
Do you know, like, birthday money, when someone donates, where does that go? Does that go to our foundation? or our
That
president?
usually goes to either President's Purse or the Madison South Rotary Foundation. Almost all our money's here through the raffle is
Yeah, I mean, it
president's.
depends on if somebody just gives it with like, writes it to Madison.
It's
South
like
Rotary,
birthday?
Then that goes, then that goes to the president's purse. But there, sometimes we get checks from people for birthday that say like to the foundation.
But make sure you say which foundation,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Typically, when we've had excess amount of money in the president's purse, we have transferred that over, right? So sometimes-
usually to the Madison South
Yeah,
Rotary
but-
Foundation.
but it comes in that it's not designated, but because the president can't spend it all.
Right, right.
Well, a good president can figure out how to spend it all. Mhm. Burn. Hey, I had no trouble spending it when I was president.
You didn't have $4,000.
Oh, no, I had, come on, what was her name? That was the track athlete. Yeah, Glenn, you were giving money every week for her. Okay, to my president's purse, okay? Remember those days back in whatever that was, 2000 or whatever. Yeah, I had lots of money, okay. But that's why those kind of monies go to the Madison South Rotary. So that's why I'm asking you as individuals here to be thinking about the Rotary Foundation. Any other questions there? So Kerry has to leave, so he can't collect checks right here because he actually he still works, okay? And I have to leave because I'm going fly fishing, but okay.
I was gonna say, collecting checks between now and March or
May
31st.
31st.
And if you do write a check out, if you could mail it to my home address, maybe we could send it out.
Sure. Yeah, I will include it in the newsletter.
Okay,
In the newsletter.
And you want
Okay.
us to just email you to say, check your schedule and see what my next.
yeah, if you have a
Yeah,
question on
it's-
where you're at, I do have probably like 5 minutes and then I have to go to a meeting, but if you have questions, I do have it with
I
me.
looked online and. I
It's
thought it was
confusing.
Confusing.
That's why you have Carrie.
I try to find it, it's confusing, but you, after many, many clicks, you do find it, but I do have the information.
He has the magic form.
Okay.
I have the whole, what everybody's donating.
Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
All right. Well, I will close this out here today. Thanks everyone for coming. And who's our speaker next week, Dan?
Jeff Greger and Angela Puerta, City of Madison Development Plan for the South Side.
Oh, I'm excited about that one. City of Madison Development Plan for the South Side. Join us here next week. See you guys then.